Two things I need from you before you're allowed to nerd out with me and watch this video. One is absolutely obliterate that thumbs up button, and the second is I need you to share this video with your stepmom's ex-husband. He really needs to see this, okay? And without further ado, let's get into why Tesla is going to do $30+ billion in revenue in 2020, in my personal opinion. Now, my opinion is different than what analysts have, okay? So first off, we're going to work out some numbers here, and then we're going to work out some more numbers down here, okay? So in 2019, Tesla should do $24 billion-ish of revenue. It could come in at, like high 23s. It could come in at high 24s. The numbers are not set yet. Tesla has one more quarter to report. Their fourth quarter 2019 numbers will be reported in roughly about 3 months, okay? So in about 3 months, we'll know exactly what these numbers come in at for the 2019 total, but it should be around $24 billion. I think it's important to know that, so it gives us some context on what Tesla's looking at for 2020 numbers, okay? Now, for 2020, analysts have estimates of about $29 billion on average for Tesla to do worth of revenue, okay? Which is definitely a big increase. If you're talking about $24 billion to $29 billion, that's a $5 billion number. So even a number like that would be very, very impressive for Elon Musk and Tesla's management team to put up, and Tesla employees to put up a number like that, okay? But Jeremy's 2020 estimate, I'm estimating they do well over $30 billion in revenues, and we're going to work out all the numbers here, and I'm going to show you exactly how we get to that. And I don't usually make a lot of short-term predictions around any stock or like short-term numbers, but I do work out numbers sometimes on my own around a stock and kind of what I'm expecting for that company over the next year. And although I don't like to get caught up in the short term, I do sometimes like to just, play around with some numbers and say, I expect them to hit this number, I expect them to do this and that, and especially with a stock like Tesla, it can be a lot of fun, okay? So I hope you guys enjoy this, all right? So how do we get to my number of over $30 billion of revenue, Tesla to do that in 2020, okay? Here's how things start to work out, and then we'll get to these other numbers that are invisible right now, all right? So I have them doing 350,000 Model 3s ex-China, meaning basically Model 3s that are sold all over the world except for China, okay? We'll work out China numbers in just a bit here. Average selling price, which is also known as ASP, I have that coming in at about $45,500, and that is for those Model 3s that are sold outside of China. So if you think about Model 3, right, you're thinking about the base model comes in just barely under 40, and that doesn't even include the super advanced autopilot that is $7,000 in itself. However, some people like to just get in a Model 3 for as cheap as possible, so some people buy that $40,000 model. So when people buy that, and that's like the big volume mover, it hurts ASPs a bit. However, there's certainly people like myself that, I have a performance Model 3, and I absolutely love that. Why do I have that? Mainly because it goes 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, and it's a lot of fun. So someone like myself is willing to pay up for, the more expensive Model 3. Some people like the mid-range, which essentially you get more range from the car, and I believe that one starts somewhere around 47,000 roughly, okay? So I have ASPs coming in at 45.5, which in my opinion is actually a very conservative number. I could see them coming in with ASPs ex-China probably at 47,000 plus, but I wanted to be a little more conservative with that number. So 45.5. So we have $16 billion coming from just the Model 3 outside of China alone, okay? That, in my opinion, is very doable. All these numbers are very doable outside of a massive global recession next year. If a massive global recession breaks out around the world, that's obviously going to hurt all these numbers for Tesla, but that would hurt all the numbers for all the companies in the world. It's just the way it goes, okay? So you can't really price that in. I'm just pricing in that next year would be a normal year in the economy, okay? And that's what I have them doing ex-China for Model 3. So it's about $16 billion in revenue there. Then I have them doing about 60,000 Model X's and Model S's combined, and ASP coming in for those combined of about $85,000, okay? 60,000 is not a big number, and that number would be down year over year, and I expect Model X and Model S to probably be down year over year next year, especially as Model Y comes out, which we're going to work out some Model Y numbers in just a minute. I think that will hurt, Model X to a certain extent. I think some people that maybe, don't want to spend a lot of money on an electric vehicle will go ahead and get a Model Y instead, whereas before they might have just been forced to get an X. But at the same time, you're going to have some folks that still, they like the creme de la creme vehicles. They're going to like the Model X and those Falcon doors and all those sorts of things. So they're still going to sell, okay? And the same thing with the Model S. I mean, the Model S is an amazing, amazing car. Like, it's still going to sell. But I have a very conservative number of 60,000. I think most people watching this, if you know anything about Tesla numbers, it's a very, very conservative number here, okay? 60,000 Model X's and Model S's coming in at an ASP of 85,000. That's $5 billion right there, okay? So just between that, I have about $21 billion, okay? Now you're gonna see where, another $9+ billion comes from. And I think it's fair to say, even if you're somebody that is, bearish on Tesla and you're watching this video, which we do have some bears that watch this video, make sure you guys also smash that thumbs up button, okay? We have some bears that watch these videos. Even if you're a bear and you're looking at these numbers, I don't think there's anything you could look at just from these numbers we've gone through here that you could say, oh my gosh, those are crazy outlandish numbers. There's no way they're going to hit those. Those are all, in my personal opinion, very conservative numbers. That would be down year over year. A 45.5 is a pretty low number. They could come in well above that, especially with more and more people, basically opting for that $7,000 extra upgrade with the autopilot there. I think all those numbers are very conservative. We got 21 billion, okay? Now let's figure out where that $9+ billion also comes from. Alrighty guys, next numbers we got to talk about is something big just happened for Tesla. The Shanghai Gigafactory literally just opened and they just started producing units out of that factory in Shanghai. Now, over the next 3 to 6 months, they're going to ramp huge production of Model 3. It doesn't happen like in a snap of a finger. You don't just like start producing and you're already ramped up. It takes a few months to get there, and that is what Tesla is trying to accomplish right now. And so basically it means November, December are going to be used as ramp months, maybe January and February a little bit as well, but throughout the year Tesla's going to get to big volumes in China, and I had them doing about 110,000 Model 3s in China, the Shanghai Gigafactory, coming in at an ASP of about 50,000. I think a lot of those vehicles are going to be the higher end Model 3s. The best thing about this, and we're not even talking about profitability in regards to Tesla, we're just talking about revenue numbers in this video, but if you think about it, if an ASP comes in at 50,000 or even more than 50,000, which I think is very possible for the China region, those cars are actually going to be made much more profitably, in my opinion, than the US. I mean, just the labor costs alone, I can guarantee you the workers at the Shanghai Gigafactory will not be making anywhere close to as much as the workers, say, at Fremont or the Sparks, Nevada Gigafactory or something like that, or the one that's in Buffalo, New York, that's a more solar related. Like, the wages are just very, very different, all right? So basically, ASP is about 50,000. That would mean $5.5 billion in revenue just for Model 3 in China coming out of that Shanghai Gigafactory. Now, 110,000 units could actually be very low. There's very much a possibility that they could produce 140,000 to 160,000 out of that Shanghai Gigafactory. But once again, I don't want to be outlandish with the numbers. I don't want to price in the best case scenarios. I want to actually price in that maybe they have some problems ramping. Maybe they don't get to full ramp till late spring or something like that, okay? That's what I want to price in when I'm thinking about numbers in relation to a stock. So a lot of people are going to say I'm far too low on this number. A lot of people are going to say probably, hey, that number should be 150,000. And Elon Musk has even said, they might do 150,000 in 2020 out of that Shanghai Gigafactory. I want to put a little low, 110,000. I think that's very, very realistic to hit, an ASP of 50,000. So now we're looking at 26.5 in revenues, and we still got to talk about two big things here, okay? The next we're going to talk about is Model Y, and the last thing we got to talk about is the solar business. Two very big things that will impact this revenue, and you can see pretty easily why Tesla is going to likely have $30+ billion in revenue in 2020. Let's finish. Alrighty guys, with this last part here, you're gonna see why there's such a significant difference between what analysts are expecting and what I'm expecting, because based upon my numbers here, Tesla should do over $33 billion of revenue in 2020 versus analysts are expecting $29 billion, okay? So here are the finishing numbers. I have about 6 months of production for Model Y. 2 of those months being smaller production, the other 4 months being bigger production. Nothing crazy as far as the production goes, but bigger volumes. So as Elon Musk and Tesla has said, they said basically in the summertime, Model Y will go into production. So the first month I have them only doing about 3,000 units. I think it will ramp slow. I think the next month they'll get up to about 7,000. And then I think after that, they'll just start producing like 10,000 consistently somewhere in there. I think those are conservative numbers. I think maybe in that back half, you could be at more than 10,000 a month for production for Model Y. But once again, I don't want to take any, crazy numbers or best case scenarios here. So I think in total, they'll produce about 50,000 Model Ys in 2020. Not a large number, especially when you think about what Model 3 does. But I think 50K is, a very conservative number. I think it's going to be very easy for them to hit that. I think best case scenario, maybe they do 75,000 or 80,000 in 2020. I think over time, this is going to be just as big a seller, if not a bigger seller, at least in the United States, as like Model 3, for instance. But for 2020, I want to be a little more conservative. I think ASPs will come in at about $60,000. I think the ones they produce of the Model Y in 2020 are all going to be the higher end models, the $50,000+ models. And a lot of those folks are going to probably want to get the most advanced autopilot as well in there. So ASPs will come in likely around 60,000 in my opinion. That would equal about $3 billion in revenues just from the Model Y in 2020 for Tesla. So as of right now, we have about $29.5 billion in total revenue so far. And there are two last big categories we got to add in. One is the energy side of the business. They should easily do $2 billion+ of revenue in 2020. That's a business they're starting to ramp again in a major way. And that's a business that basically in 2019, they haven't paid a lot of attention to it. And it will still probably generate $1.4 billion in revenue, somewhere around that, maybe a little more than that, maybe a little less than that, roughly around there. So $2 billion in 2020 as they ramp that business should be a very, very easy number for Tesla to hit. And then services revenue should easily generate $2 billion. I mean, this year it might even hit $2 billion or something close to $2 billion. Next year, I think it's going to, smash through that number, but I just wanted to take some conservative numbers just to kind of show you how easily it is for Tesla to easily beat what analysts are expecting next year. I think they're going to smash through $30 billion. I think $32 billion to $34 billion is a realistic range for Tesla in my personal opinion, which would be phenomenal growth. However, I don't mind it if analysts keep their estimates of around $29 billion because I would love to just see, Tesla continue to smash numbers throughout 2020. So I want to hear your guys' opinion on all the numbers you have here on your screen. Let me know, do you think some of these numbers are low? Do you think they're, maybe high? I want to hear your guys' opinion, please, in that comment section. And let me know how much revenue you think Tesla will do, assuming the economy is just decent around the world next year. Let me know what number you think Tesla will do. Do you think it's more around the 29 billion number? Do you think it's less than that? Do you think it's 30 billion plus? Please let me know in the comment section. I'll be reading through them as always. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. Thank you for watching and have a great day.